A plane crashed into the Andes Mountains. 45 people on board. Temperatures below freezing. No food, no rescue. After weeks of waiting, the survivors realized something unthinkable. If they didn't eat the bodies of the dead, they would die too. This is the most disturbing survival story of all time. And before we dive into what really happened up there in those mountains, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this story, it's going to stick with you long after this video ends. To live, they had to do the unthinkable. Alright, so let's set the scene here. October 13th, 1972. A chartered plane is flying over the Andes Mountains, carrying the Old Christians rugby team from Uruguay. These weren't just athletes, they were friends, brothers. Some had brought their mothers and sisters along for what was supposed to be a fun trip to Chile. 19-year-old Nando Parado was on that plane with his mom and sister. Roberto Canessa, a medical student. Fernando Stroud, team captain. Just regular guys living their lives, probably joking around, maybe a little nervous about the game ahead. Now, here's the thing. The pilot made a crucial mistake. He thought they'd already crossed the mountains when they hadn't. So he starts descending, thinking he's approaching Santiago. But instead of a runway, all he sees are these massive, snow-covered peaks rushing toward them. The plane clips a mountain ridge. The right wing gets ripped clean off. Then the left wing. The tail section breaks away, and people are just sucked out into the freezing air 3 miles above sea level. What's left of the fuselage slides down this steep slope and crashes into a glacier. When the dust settles, 12 people are already dead. The survivors look around at this white, endless wasteland, and you know what they're thinking. Someone will come for us tomorrow. But the rescue never came. Freezing hell. So yeah, they're stuck. And let me tell you, the Andes Mountains in October, it's brutal. We're talking temperatures that drop to -30 Celsius at night. The air is so thin, you can barely breathe. And these guys, they're wearing rugby uniforms and light jackets. At first, they tried to stay optimistic. They've got some chocolate bars, a few bottles of wine, some snacks. They rationed everything carefully, thinking rescue teams are definitely looking for them. Roberto Canessa, being a medical student, tries to treat the injured with whatever he can find. But here's what's really messed up. The search and rescue teams. They called off the search after just 8 days. 8 days. The authorities figured no one could survive that long in those conditions. They were wrong, but the survivors didn't know that. Days turn into weeks. People start dying from their injuries, from the cold, from despair. Nando's mother dies. Then his sister. One by one, their friends are just not waking up in the morning. They're melting snow for water, which barely keeps them hydrated. They're sharing tiny pieces of chocolate that wouldn't fill up a toddler. Their bodies are literally eating themselves to survive. And then, they ran out of food completely. The unthinkable. Now, this is where the story gets really heavy. So bear with me here. They're starving, watching each other waste away, and they're surrounded by the bodies of their dead friends preserved in the snow. Someone brings it up. I don't know who, but someone says what everyone's thinking. What if we eat them? The reaction is immediate. Some guys are horrified, saying absolutely not, we're not animals. Others are crying, praying. But then Roberto Canessa, the medical student, he says something that changes everything. The bodies are just meat now. Their souls are gone. If we don't do this, we're all going to die. They debate for hours. Some refuse to participate. Others say they'll only eat people they didn't know personally. It's this impossible moral situation where every choice feels wrong. But hunger doesn't care about morals. So they make the decision. With broken glass from the plane, they cut strips of meat from the bodies. They can barely keep it down at first. Some of them vomit. Others cry while they eat. But it keeps them alive. Just when they think they've figured out how to survive, disaster strikes again. A massive avalanche hits the wreckage at night, burying them inside the fuselage. 8 more people die, suffocated under tons of snow. The survivors are trapped in this tiny space for 3 days. Literally surrounded by corpses, recycling the same air over and over. When they finally dig themselves out, there are fewer of them now. But still, no rescue. The escape after 2 months of this nightmare. Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa make a decision that honestly sounds insane. They're going to climb out of the mountains and find help themselves. Think about this for a second. These guys have no mountaineering experience, no proper equipment, no map. They're severely malnourished and weak, and they're planning to climb through some of the most dangerous terrain on Earth. They take the strongest guy left, Antonio Vicentin, and they start hiking west, toward Chile. They're wearing layers of clothes taken from the dead, carrying meat in makeshift backpacks. For 10 days, they walk through snow and ice and thin air that makes every step feel like running a marathon. Antonio turns back after a few days, but Nando and Roberto, they keep going. And this is where it gets wild. On day 10, they spot something green in the distance. Trees, vegetation, signs of life. They find a river, and across that river, they see a man on horseback, a Chilean shepherd named Sergio. Nando starts yelling and waving, and the shepherd sees them but can't hear over the rushing water. The next day, comes back and throws them a note tied to a rock. They write back, "I come from a plane that fell in the mountains. I am Uruguayan. We have been walking for 10 days. My friend is injured. In the plane there are still 14 injured people. We have to get out of here quickly, and we don't know how." That note changed everything. The rescue Chilean authorities immediately organize a rescue mission. Helicopters are dispatched to the crash site. On December 22, 1972, after 71 days in hell, the remaining survivors see something they thought they'd never see again. Helicopters. The rescue is complicated because of the altitude and weather, so they can only take a few people at a time. Some of the survivors have to spend one more night on that mountain, wondering if the helicopters will actually come back for them, but they do. And when the last survivor is finally lifted off that glacier, only 16 people out of the original 45 are still alive. Aftermath. Now here's the thing. When news of their survival breaks, the media goes absolutely crazy. But they do unfocus on the incredible human endurance, or the friendship that kept these guys alive for over 2 months. No, they focus on the cannibalism. Headlines scream about savage behavior and human monsters. The survivors are devastated because that's not how they see it at all. Nando Peredo later said, "We didn't eat the dead. They gave us life." The story becomes books, movies, documentaries. Philosophers and ethicists debate whether what they did was morally acceptable. But honestly, most of us sitting here right now, comfortable and fed, we have no idea what we'd do in that situation. These guys didn't just survive impossible odds. They maintained their humanity in the most inhumane circumstances imaginable. They took care of each other, made impossible decisions together, and somehow found the strength to keep going, when every rational thought told them to give up. So what's the lesson here? Maybe it's that the line between civilization and survival is thinner than we think. Maybe it's that human beings are capable of both incredible cruelty and incredible love, sometimes simultaneously. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe it's just that when everything is stripped away, when you're facing the absolute worst that life can throw at you, the thing that saves you isn't your strength or your intelligence or your moral superiority. It's the person next to you who refuses to let you die alone. They didn't just survive the mountains. They survived the impossible and walked back into the world carrying a story no one could believe. A story that forces us to ask ourselves, what would we do? How far would we go? And what does it really mean to be human, when being human is the only thing standing between you and death? If this story got to you like it got to me, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. Do you think they made the right choice? And make sure you're subscribed, because we've got more incredible survival stories coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.